Sounds funny, doesn't it? Like I just got up and walked out, slamming the door like in some cheap drama. But it wasn't like that at all. It wasn't a decision, more like a moment when something inside me just snapped. I was sitting in the kitchen, watching her yell again, waving her arms, saying those same words. I'll file for divorce if you... And this time I just looked at her and said, all right. No anger, no shouting, just calm. Then I grabbed my jacket, the keys to my pickup, and walked out. I was driving through our little town where everyone knows everyone, and I couldn't believe this was happening to me. I'm 38, I have 2 kids, a mortgage, a dog, and now I'm out of work, out of a family, with no idea who I even am anymore. It all started a couple of months ago when I got laid off from the factory. They said it was downsizing, nothing personal. I didn't even get angry. I just felt like the air had been sucked out of me. I'd worked my whole life, never missed a shift, never complained. I thought if I did everything right, life would be right. Turns out that's not how it works. The first few weeks after losing my job, I tried to hold it together. I'd get up early, pretend to look for work, but really I just stared at the ceiling. My wife, Carol, was supportive at first, but then she started to get angry. I get it. She's scared. She's worried about the kids, the house. But instead of coming together, we drifted apart. Every day brought new complaints, new threats. If you don't find a job, I'll leave. If you don't start earning, I'll file for divorce. At first, I argued. Then I just shut down. And today, I just left. I drove to my dad's place. He lives on the edge of town, in a small house that smells like coffee and motor oil. Dad was always my role model, strict but fair. As a kid, I used to get mad at him for not talking about his feelings much. But now I get it. He just didn't know how. When I walked in, he was sitting on the porch, smoking and watching the sunset. I sat down next to him, silent. We sat there for a long time without saying a word. Then he asked, "What's got you looking so down?" I shrugged. "Carol's threatening divorce again." I left. He nodded, like he'd been expecting it. Then he said, "Remember how it was for me when your mother left?" I remembered. I was 12. I'd see him sitting in the kitchen at night, drinking coffee and staring out the window. But he never complained. He just kept going. "I thought it was all over back then," he continued. "Thought I couldn't handle it. But you know what helped? I stopped clinging to things I couldn't control. Started thinking about what I could change. Myself, my life." I listened and suddenly I remembered who I was as a teenager. I dreamed of being a mechanic and opening my own garage, fixing up old cars. I loved tinkering with engines, could spend hours taking them apart. But then came the factory job. The family, the bills, and the dreams just faded away. I started living on autopilot. "You always wanted your own garage," Dad suddenly said, like he was reading my mind. "What's stopping you now?" I laughed. "Money, fear, age. Money comes and goes. Fear is normal. And age," he smiled. "I was 45 when I opened my shop. You've got a chance to start over now. Don't miss it." We sat for a long time. I told him everything about work, Carol, the kids. He listened without interrupting. Then he said, "You're a good father, a good husband, but you've forgotten who you are. Until you find yourself, no one will truly be able to be with you." I drove home late that night. The kids were asleep. Carol was sitting in the kitchen with red eyes. I sat down across from her. "I don't want to fight anymore," I said. "I'm tired of being afraid. I want to try living differently, for myself, for the kids, for us." She was quiet, then softly said, "I'm tired too. I'm scared. I don't know what to do." I took her hand. "Let's try together." The next day I started looking for work, not at the factory, but I started checking ads for car repairs, offering my services to neighbors. The first jobs were small, but every day there were more. I started to feel like I could do something again, like I was needed. Carol changed too. She got less angry, talked more about her fears. We started listening to each other instead of just arguing. The kids saw that we were a family again. 6 months went by. Now I have a little workshop in the garage. Not a business empire, but I'm happy. I'm living again, not just existing. Sometimes Dad and I fix up old cars together. laughing like we used to, I realized something important. You can't live in fear. You can't let someone else's threats control your life. Sometimes you just have to say, all right, not to give up, but to start over. Don't be afraid to change your life, even if it's scary, because real life starts on the other side of that fear. If you're at rock bottom right now, don't give up. Sometimes walking away isn't the end, but the beginning of a new life where you get to choose who you are.